know God is an interesting person. People think God doesn't have a sense of humor. I know that God has a fantastic sense of humor, but I just don't think he's a comedian. Do you know what happened? I was leaving my office one day, and I walked into this sister or this lady. One thing I've often told you here, even if I forget a name, don't think I will forget a face that fast. She was only here once. And as soon as I walked towards her and I walked past her, I turned around. As I was turning, she was turning. And I said, sister, I called her name. Interestingly, I didn't forget her name this time. Because the day she came, I cracked a joke about her name. So I didn't forget her name. And she stood. And I said, what happened? What happened to you? You know what she said? I said, I called you. She said, yes, I saw it. She said, but I refused to pick it. She said, and also your wife has called me several times. I just refused to pick it. I don't want to talk about myself to people anymore. And then she said this, I will never go to a church again. I used to attend the Redeemed Christian Church of God. But that was the last church I ever want to attend. I'm not going to church anymore. I can go when I'm invited, like I was invited to your church during a ceremony, yes. But I will never be a member of any church. I just did not want to pick your call, she told me. I am tired of this God. And I am tired of, I'm telling you, I was discussing with her. I am tired of this God and I am tired of people using me. If God is there, why have I been praying for something all these years and nothing has ever happened? People are giving testimonies, but I have never been able to. I hear people give testimonies every time, but I never get to give one. I try to plead with this sister to give herself a chance to see what God can do. Let me tell you, if you have never had any problem here, let me see your hands up. You have never had a problem. Okay, you don't have anyone right now. I want to see how many liars we have in church this morning. You don't have any problems right now, no challenges as I speak. I'm sure if I bring Sister Bose out and say, Sister Bose, can we start discussing your problems? We won't go home. Are you getting me? Or am I going to go to Brother Donnell, who has refused to answer all our WhatsApp pages to him? Everybody congratulated Brother Donnell the whole of last week for his birthday. Brother Donnell refused to answer all of us. In fact, give us the one that can be on this phone now. That's part of the problem already. See what I'm saying? It's a challenge already. So, this woman said, I stopped. I was in a hurry, but I didn't go anymore. I had not closed. I was rushing somewhere, but I stopped. And I said, sister, please give God a chance. Do you want me to tell you my story? I can start. I said, it got to a level, I was so bitter in my life. My wife will know this. I was so bitter. When you mean bitter, it got to a level when I pick up the phone and I see that the person who called is a Christian. I am telling you my life story. I will drop the phone. Especially if it's a pastor, actually. If it's a pastor that called, if I pick up the phone and I realize a pastor, or he says I'm pastor, I will drop the phone. I was already a pastor. But because people made me so angry, people offended me, I was bitter. You could see bitterness in me. I was so bitter that one day, I was in my room. That was when I knew that bitterness would send you to hell faster than anything. I was in my room. I was upstairs. I was in a 3-bedroom apartment alone. I was upstairs and a lady was walking past the driveway, the parking lot. And I stood in my and said, whoa, what a pretty lady. She's so beautiful. Look at the way she moves. Wow. Then I went closer to the window and I stood. And I could hear God say to me, no, sir, can you see yourself? Can you see yourself? You are spending time admiring a woman who's going on her own. The trouble is not those people you are bitter against now. The trouble is now you. Your bitterness is sending you fast to hell. I repented immediately. I went to my Yahoo account. If you get there today, you will still see it. If I send you an email in my Yahoo account, you will see it. I wrote this thing 2005. It's still there. I wrote there, I said something like, get even. Stop being bitter. I changed my life completely, and my life became better. Do you imagine where a pastor would come here and I would tell him, get out? I don't talk to pastors. And I was a pastor. That's bitterness. I wanted to tell this sister, I have gone through this before. I know people have offended you, but please, you know what? Bitterness will send you to hell. It will kill you. These people might end up in heaven. Don't let the pain of another person send you to hell because you have problems, you have challenges. Let me tell you, bitterness and unforgiveness eats you up. And that person will not care. Are you here? And you are bitter. You are not forgiven. You are the one that is suffering, not the other person. I wanted to talk to this sister. And I could see her face. I knew that she has been hurt. Interestingly, sometimes when God speaks to you, you respond. The day I was talking to her in church, I could see. I wanted to tell her, sister, do you have some problems with? I said, okay, maybe with time. This is my first time. Maybe with time I will ask her. I could see that something was really getting her angry. Finally, she said to me, she said, even my mother has spoken to me and I don't care. And I said, do you know you could be going to hell? She said, I don't care. At that level, I wanted to leave her. So when she was going, I couldn't leave her because my face dropped. I stopped and I went back with her again to where she was going to cross. And I said to her, sister, why do you go to church? I wanted to ask why. You know what she said to me? She said, I don't know. I said, that is part of your problem. If you are in church this morning and you don't know why you are in church, you have a problem. She said, I don't know why I go to church. I wanted to explain to her that that is actually her problem. You have been going to church to please people and not to serve God. And as you were trying to please people, they continue to disappoint you. Don't go to church to please the man of God. Don't go to church to please people. Go to church to worship God. Well, I was sorry for the lady, but that's all I could do. I could see that this sister has been battered by the devil and by men. She has been battered, and that's why she was where she is. She walked away. Do you know that Jesus have had people like that before too? He couldn't help. The Bible says the person walked away sorrowful. That was exactly what happened. I walked away. I found out that this woman, funny enough, like I said, this I'm going to round up, was very similar to the father of this boy in some respect. Let me begin to tell you the respect. Number one, I have not received what I wanted because God has failed in his duties towards me. That's the way she saw God. God failed in his duties. You know what that man said? I brought him to your disciples. They could not. In other words, they failed. This woman has seen God as a failure. The sister says God cannot help. So, it's not possible. You know, this person also felt Jesus would be unwilling to help. Number two, she traced her problems to people. She traced her problem. People have used me so much. It is other people that have caused my problem. It's not me. Your disciples could not do it. You might not be able to do it. She traced, let me tell you, if you want, you know what I'm talking about? How not to have your problem solved. That's what I'm discussing now. If you want your problem to remain, continue to look onto other people. Even your father or your mother. Continue. You know why? They are limited to what they can do for you. There's a story that Pastor E. Adeboye told us. Pastor Adeboye told us a story, and I've never forgotten that story. Let me tell you the story. He said man is limited to whatever he can do for you. He said it's only God that is unlimited. He said there was a man who is a fantastic swimmer. And one day, he was taking his 2 sons and his wife across a river on a canoe. And as he was going, he's a good swimmer, was paddling on and on and on. The river became rough. He tried to go back too far. Where he was going, said, okay, let me just try. So he continued. The river got rougher and rougher until the canoe capsized. Unfortunately, his children and his wife, they cannot swim. So he had an option. Get these kids and the wife out of the water. But he can't save 3 people. He can only go with 1. So he picked one, the one that was nearest to him, and began to swim to shore. He got to shore, dropped that one. Of course, he was useless swimming back because the other 2 were dead. He said, did this man not want to help those people? Do you think he didn't want to save them? He said, but he was limited. He wanted to. There are people that really want to help you, but because they are men, they are limited by what they can do. He's only God that is unlimited. And that is why he's the one you must focus on. Many times we tend to focus on men, and because men are limited by what they can do, many times they even want to help you, but because they are men, many times they fail. Do you know people promise to help you and they forget? Not because they didn't want to come, but they forgot. Do you know that? And so many of us make the mistake, we rely on men, and the men mess us up. And we begin to cry. The Bible says, woe unto those that put their trust in men. Are you here this morning? And you are believing in one pastor. You are believing in one person. If I can just see this pastor, let me tell you, you are on your way to failure. And I can announce to you confidently, you are going to fail. I'm looking at the time. We often don't see the attitude that we put up when somebody says, God has failed me. Because God failed me, I'm not going to church anymore. Let me tell you, it's ignorance, arrogance, and a display of ingratitude. Did you hear me? It's because the person is ignorant, is arrogant, and is displaying ingratitude. Why? Because this sister I was speaking with, she saw herself as very qualified to be blessed by God. Do you hear me? God should bless me. God should answer my prayers. God owes me. I've been praying for 6 years and God refused to answer my prayers for 6 years. Why? Because I'm a good person. God is supposed to answer my prayers. I'm a good person. Brother Prince, are you not a good person? You're a very good person. Okay, let's go back 6 days. You have never committed a sin once. He couldn't lift up his head anymore. But that's the same good man that is accusing God for not answering her prayers. If I ask this sister, how did you get into Canada? I am sure the story will be long. You know what I mean now? Ori Olori. Yet, she blames God for not answering her prayers. She was saying to God, I am very good. God has to grant me my request. She did not consider all the mess she has ever done in her life. You know what? If God had to, you know what the Bible said? If God were to mark iniquity, will the sister be alive? She will be dead. She refused to thank God for the fact that she's alive and she's not dead. But she's saying, because I begged God for this, He didn't give me, then I'm not serving this God anymore. But she's still alive. There are people better than her that are dead. But she says, I'm a good person. God should answer my prayers. If God cannot answer my prayers, I'm not serving him anymore. But he's still alive. She's still living. Brethren, that is arrogance or ignorance or sheer ingratitude. Do you know how many of us have heard the story of the thief on the cross, the criminal on the cross? Luke chapter 23, 39 to 43. If you get home, you can check it. They said, when Jesus was hanging there, one was on the right, one was on the left. The one on the left said, look at you. If you are really the Son of God, you know what? Free yourself and then free us. What kind of an ingrate? But the other man said, shut up. We are all here, but we are qualified for what we are getting. This man is not. And you are talking to him. Do you know that Job felt the same way because of time? If you read Job 31, give me a few of Job 31, sir. I can't read everything. Job 31. You know, Job thought he was a good guy. Funny enough, around Job 15, Job realized that he was an ordinary man. He said, well, God, you are the one that gives freely. You are also the one that can take. But when the problem became so much, you know what? When the problem starts, some of us begin to see. You say, God, you will help me. God will bless me. I know God will save me. When the problem becomes bigger, what did you say? You begin to shout, God, where are you? I have a brother who is like a mentor to me. We call him Brother John. That was what we used to call him. He just has the same height as my brother. He was like a mentor to us. You know what he used to say? He said, when sisters are passing through darkness, you know, they are going to campus through a dark place, they'll begin to sing. Brother John was such a clown. And I still love that brother. So you hear the sister singing, I'm not alone in the darkness. I'm not alone in all my journey. Jesus is with me. I am not alone. Yeah. Say I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Yeah. Blessed the snake, big. Then I'm not alone. I'm not alone. No, yeah. In all my journey. Don't go. Sister, don't take off. Then the song stops. And she starts running. Sometimes that's what happens to us. At the onset, we can testify. That's what happened to Job. In Job 15, he said, oh, don't worry. Freely he has given. Freely let him take. But brethren, in 31, just start from 1. The whole of 31 actually was Job's. I made a covenant with my eyes not to lust upon a young woman. Maybe you should give us NLT, sir. Is NLT, Abby? Okay, listen. What has God above chosen for us? What is our inheritance from the Almighty on earth, on high? In other words, what am I gaining from this God? Go ahead, sir. It is calamity from the wicked, misfortune for those who do evil. He sees everything I do, and every step I take. See him justifying himself. Have I lied to anyone or deceived anyone? Let God judge me on the scales of justice, for he knows my integrity. I'm a good guy. If I have strayed from his pathway, or if my heart has lusted for what my eyes have seen, or if I'm guilty of any other sin, that's enough. The whole of 31. Job was, I'm a good guy. I've not looked at a woman. I don't look at the woman's butt. I don't look at this. I don't look at this. I don't look at this. Listen. When Job finished, it took God to silence Job and another young man called Elihu. One small boy. Do you know that when Job finished, Job's friends, Job had 3 friends. They kept quiet. They could not talk because they thought Job was right. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, they kept quiet. It's true. Until this young man, Elihu. Brother Samson was quoting Elihu this morning without knowing. That young man stood up. His name is Elihu. He first of all proved one thing. In Job chapter 33, verse 8, there's a quotation I found there. Give me an NLT, sir. I really liked it. Job 33, Verse 8. I think we'll stop there. I'll continue next week. Okay. You have said it in my hearing. I have heard your very words. Give me the next verse. This is something I'm looking for. You said I am pure and I'm innocent. I have not sinned. Go ahead. God is speaking a quarrel with me and he considers me to be his enemy. Go ahead. There's something I'm looking for here. There's a scripture I quoted yesterday. There was one quotation I found, that's where I want to stop. It was this young man that quoted it in Job. He said this. He said, he has found that wisdom or intelligence, it doesn't come from old age. If you look at Job 33, yep, okay. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Yep, I think I went to I should have been in 32 maybe. It's 32. If you look at, if you look at verse 8, 32:8. Yeah, if you go from 7 to 8, but give me 8. He says, surely it is God's spirit within people, the breath of the Almighty within them, that makes them intelligent. Intelligence does not come because you are old. It is the Spirit of God that gives you intelligence. I told you that I stayed somewhere and I was admiring a woman. If I didn't have the Spirit of God to help me, maybe I would have continued. And you know the truth? That woman was not even married. I think she was divorced. Because later I had to go and witness to her later. I actually I looked at her when I said, I think I need to witness to this woman. So I will deal with the devil very well. So when I knocked on her door, and I said, I'm a pastor in that place. I came to preach to you. And she was so glad that I preached to her. Then when she got married, she came to tell me. We became very great friends, and she was in my apartment. Brethren, it takes God to make you intelligent. I want to stop here. But all I have talked about today is challenges and how not to. You cannot win that way. You cannot win by complaining. You cannot win by putting problems on other people. You cannot win by looking at men. The victory only comes when you go back to that God. It will be a good time to stop because we are 1 o'clock. And I think we shouldn't go beyond this. We will continue from here next week. But before I go, I want us to remember where we are. We are talking about the victory over the storms of life. The victory over the storms of life. That's what we are talking about. The challenges are there right now, people. There are all problems. Back at home in Nigeria, just pick up the phone and call Nigeria right now. Hey. Sister laughed. You won't talk for up to 2 minutes. Say, hey, we don't die, yo. We don't die, yo. Hey, Nigeria don't finish, yo. The aeroplanes are no more flying, no. Rice is how much? It's 21,000, they said. Rice is 27, no. Tomato came back, but we cannot buy, yo. Cement is now 2,300, oh. But let me tell you what I know. It's part of the script, one of the messages I'm preaching. Although the fig tree will not blossom, and no grapes upon the vine. Let me tell you, tomato might not sell, rice might not feed people. God is still looking for people to prove that He is God. Will you be one of those people to prove that God is God? Bow your heads and let's begin to pray.